Hey guys, welcome back to another pickups video, this time for the month of March of 2014, which was a very interesting month in terms of new releases. A lot of big titles came out, such as Titanfall, Dark Souls 2, Infamous Second Son, Yoshi's New Island for the 3DS, but my budget only allowed for one game, for one new release, and I decided to go with the following game right here, Infamous Second Son for the PlayStation 4. As you guys know, I got a PS4 on launch day, and the only major release that I have for the system is Battlefield 4. So I was itching to play something new on the system, and decided to go with Infamous Second Son, and I'm really glad I did because I'm having a lot of fun with this game. The graphics are great. This is a third-person open world game in which you have these superpowers that you use to fight enemies and to travel around the city, and the game is really fun. I'm a newcomer to the series. I don't own any of the two previous games, which is a little bit odd considering I have a lot of PlayStation 3 games in my collection, but so far I'm having a lot of fun, and you can definitely tell that this game was built exclusively for the PlayStation 4 in the sense that it makes great use of the system's power. You can tell that the graphics are great. The game has a pretty good performance, so I'm pretty close to beating the game, so expect to see an impressions and review video coming up soon. But overall I'm pretty happy with my purchase, and if you have a PlayStation 4, definitely keep an eye out on this game because it's one very good exclusive title for the system. So Infamous Second Son, so far I'm having a lot of fun, and glad to have this game. For the Wii U, I picked up a third-party game, surprise, and that game is Splinter Cell Blacklist, which is one of the late releases from last year, I believe, and I've heard a lot of good things about this game, especially from longtime fans of the Splinter Cell series, so I decided to go for it, and supposedly it's a very fun and pretty well made stealth game. That unfortunately I don't think has performed too well as far as sales go, and this game was released for the PS3, the 360 and the Wii U, but for some reason it didn't do too well as far as sales, despite fans giving it good reviews and impressions. So I'm looking forward into trying this game out, and pretty happy to add another Wii U title to my collection. So Splinter Cell Blacklist. It's pretty cheap nowadays, so I'd say go for it if you are into stealth games. The next game is for the Nintendo 3DS, and that game is Mario Tennis Open. This is a game that I already did an impressions video because I fully beat the game. I beat every championship cup out there, so go to my impressions video if you are looking for a more in-depth review, I guess, of the game. But essentially it's a very fun tennis game, very fun to pick up and play, very easy to learn, but not as good as Mario Tennis 64, which in my opinion remains my favorite of the series, but a very fun title that can get quite repetitive if you play a lot. So perfect game to play in between other games. So Mario Tennis Open, a pretty fun title, but it gets repetitive really quick. Now the next bunch of games, I have a bunch of PlayStation 3 and 3DS games that I picked up during the Big Lots sales or clearance for video games. Here, I don't know how many stores they have around the country, but here in Florida there's this retail store called Big Lots, and they have a very small electronics section. They basically specialize in selling like furniture and home goods and whatnot, but they do have a very small electronic sections, and they were trying to liquidate older games. They're not gonna be selling video games anymore, so they were selling some games at 50% and then at 75% off. So I picked up quite a few games to add to my collection, and most of the games were either 10 or $5, so very good way to expand my collection. And this is one of the games that I picked up, Batman Arkham City, which I already beat this game. I have it for the Wii U. I have I think it's called the Armored Edition, and but I decided to pick this pick this up again because I just love the Batman Arkham games, and I wouldn't mind replaying this game and getting trophies, and at the same time, like I said, I already beat the Wii U version, and I wouldn't mind replaying this in preparation for Arkham Knight coming up later this year for the PS4 and the Xbox One, which, by the way, that game is looking great. So pretty excited for that. So maybe I can play this in preparation for that. So Batman Arkham City, Game of the Year edition with the ugly cover, unfortunately. The next game that I picked up at Big Lots is Dead Island, the Game of the Year edition. Pretty happy to have this because if some of you guys recall, I picked up the sequel for this game, Dead Island Riptide, and now I have the first game, and supposedly the sequel builds up on the story of the first game. So I'm pretty happy to have this. This is supposed to be a pretty fun open world first person shooter in which you have to fight zombies, I guess. So looking forward into jumping into this game at one point or another. So Dead Island, the Game of the Year edition. The next game, a long overdue pickup for me, and that is Dead Space 2 for the PlayStation 3, and I'm really happy to have, this is the vanilla limited edition, which comes with Dead Space Extraction, which is originally a Wii exclusive game that it's a light gun on rails first shooter that got later ported to the PlayStation 3 and the 360. So it's basically two games in one, and I enjoyed the first Dead Space. I perhaps did not love the game as much as other people did, but which is why I never really bothered picking the sequel right away. But this was like $5. It was really cheap, so I had a good time with the first Dead Space game, so I'm more than willing to give this one a shot. And from what I've heard, this game is it focuses a little bit more on action rather than horror. So I'm curious to see how well or how bad that works in this game. So I'm definitely gonna give this one a shot, and if I like it, I'll buy Dead Space 3, so that way I can complete the trilogy. So happy to have this, two games in one. And then the next one is another PlayStation 3 title, and it's Midway Arcade Origins. This is a perfect game for if you grew up in the 80s and early 90s. This game has a lot of the old school arcades, such as Joust and Defender and whatnot. So it has more than 30 games. So if you're a fan of the arcade, old school retro arcade games, this is a pretty good title. I have not played this yet, but it's always fun to have this retro compilations in your collection. So pretty happy to have this, and pretty happy to pick this for pretty cheap. Next up, I have a crossover fighting game, and that game is Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. I like crossover games because they usually clash like two different universes, and it's always crazy. And in this case, we have Mortal Kombat against the DC Universe characters. So I have not played this game yet, but I think the game got pretty good reviews from what I remember. So regardless, good or bad reviews, I'm excited to play this game. Put Superman against Sub-Zero, some crazy clashes, if you will. So I like crossover games, and I'm definitely gonna play this at one point or another. So pretty happy to have Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. So that marks the end of my PlayStation 3 games, and now I'm going to show you 3 3DS games that I got at Big Lots for really cheap. I think I got them for $5 each, and I'm kind of glad because I don't think they're very good titles, so I would have not paid any more for the following games. But I'm going to start with Cubic Ninja. I did play this, I beat a couple levels, and I'm not a very big fan of this. Basically in this game makes use of the gyroscope sensors in the 3DS, so you basically have to tilt and rotate the 3DS in order to guide this little ninja character to the end goal. And I do have to say that the game is not very fun, in my opinion. It doesn't really accomplish anything that a free phone smartphone game can accomplish. So not a very good title, but again, for $5 I'm not gonna complain. So Cubic Ninja for the Nintendo 3DS. The next title is another one that I don't think it got reviewed pretty well, but I decided to go for it regardless, and that game is Splinter Cell 3D, which it's a third-person stealth game. I don't know too much about it. All I know is that the game, I think, got very poor reviews for this 3DS version. So I figure I'll pick it up and try it for myself. Maybe I'll end up liking the game. So Splinter Cell 3D for the 3DS. Oops. And the last game that I have here is James Noore's Hollywood Crimes. And I do have to say that this is a type of game that I would never buy unless I see it for like really cheap. But I'm actually glad that I picked this up. I have played for like 30 minutes or so, and this game is basically a combination of a point-and-click type of game with Professor Layton elements, in the sense that you have to solve puzzles, and it even has some like mini games in it. The presentation is what sold me on the game, though. It's very cheesy. The characters that talk to you in the game are like FMVs, real characters actually, and it reminded me of the 3DO and the Sega CD era, in which we had all those cheesy FMV games, and this game definitely reminds me of that. So I'm really happy to pick this up. It's not a very good game, but the cheesy presentation makes up for it. So I'm really happy to have this in my collection. So that's it, guys. Those were my pickups for the month of March. As far as digital games, I did pick up the usual PlayStation Plus free games, such as I think they had Unit 13 for the Vita. For the PlayStation 3 they had Tomb Raider, I think, which I already own the physical copy, so I didn't bother downloading the game. But yeah, I don't even remember what games came out this month. I just keep downloading them. Oh yeah, they had, for the PlayStation 4 they had what was it called? I think Dead Nation. That game that came out for the PS3, and now they remastered it for the PS4. But for the 3DS, I picked up SteamWorld Dig, which is a very fun Metroidvania type of game. I'm pretty close to finishing the game as well, so I may do an impressions video. But other than that, I think that's it for the month of March. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.